Well, don't know. So the idea that I have to make this transparent is pointless, really. And most of the time, when I paint stuff like this, it doesn't end up being colored underneath. It ends up. But I've decided against the blue, to be honest, because like it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I'm gonna do black and white or grayscale, and keep with. I love the value in this piece because it is black and white. Like one of my favorite things to do is draw really like contrasty black and white pictures, or even the contrary or the opposite. I like to draw very not contrasty black and white images. Very fun. This picture has a nice level of contrast in it, though. It's got quite a few different values in different places. But overall, I don't think it's hugely contrasty. Maybe drawing it a bit too heavy contrast, but If you want to remove heavy contrast, you typically want to smudge toward it. By that I mean you want to take your light side and you want to smudge toward the dark side. You'll kind of bleed that lightness in, but perk of my smudge brush is that matters less, because as long as you have an adjacent light source, you're still going to be able to get rid of some of that darkness because of the fact that this brush doesn't really just it's not unidirectional. Omnidirectional, so it doesn't really just go in one direction. It takes pigments from everywhere and says, hey, you're all gonna get mixed together, which it's gonna. Samples from every which way. Almost like it averages out the value. Which sometimes that works, but other times it doesn't have the darker side of the value have down. When I shade, a lot of times I'll get like the shade perfect and I'm like, I want that specific shade there. Ends up averaging it. Says, well. Kinda kills it for me, but. Working on his stash for some time. It's either sometimes too textured or other times it's too dark. Go figure. At the moment, I'm just kind of going everywhere, trying to finish this piece off. If anybody knows who this piece is of, or has ever heard the blacks he's taken part in, you probably already know who this is. I don't need to introduce them. I'm probably not going to anyway. But yeah, I've been having fun with this. Improve with this piece. Don't mind me giving you dizziness there. Sure, I probably just did. I don't like. Listen to it. Pardon me, I'm a huge fan of backwards way of doing things, if you couldn't tell. I'm gonna be the cheap, lazy digital artist and probably just take big, soft white brushes and kind of fade this area of the portraits, because I'm a fucking code, basically. Basically just gonna airbrush it, because fuck you, that's why. That works so well. I'm not huge on them. There's a lot of good songs and vast discography, and then there's a lot of them that. This is not the brush we usually use. You can tell. The one we use is actually called RAR. It was in here. Need to fix his shirts. A lot of messy parts here that we need. It's fine the way it was. Background she's got going on here. Because I need to be able to blur it, so I'm probably gonna do all with a pen tool, more likely. And then once I did that, I was gonna probably go ahead There are much easier ways. Lassoing full body, which I'm about to do. I can remember the button for that as well. Fuck. Kind of lazy it. Really matter. We can fill in the rest, but the point is here to kind of, oh shit, get in the whole mass and then be able to just kind of fill in the rest. Feel free to throw ruin. kinds of fun for the future. Why the fuck does this ever happen? I kind of half-ass portraits at a certain point. It gets so old to me. Originally, to be honest though, this was originally just kind of a half-ass fucking fire and forget piece, kind of just to I've gotten a lot of verbal arguments over the internet over whether or not these still count as art because they're recreations of images I've seen already. So trace is yes, I did indeed recreate that drawing, but it's not a trace. Was mine because it was a concept for a portfolio that I had made for an art class. Uh, didn't say that it was entirely mine. No, that would be bullshit. That would be stealing. Pieces like that portfolio I'm talking about, or the feed me Totoro parody thing I did a while back. That was a composite of multiple images. Didn't just draw that entirely off the top of my head. Strange. I don't use Creative Cloud. I use CS6. I really couldn't help you there. Have you looked around on forums or anything to see if anybody else has encountered that issue? The only thing I can really think of. When I have issues with Photoshop or what have you, I usually go look around the internet for troubleshooting. But alright, dude. Later, man. It's a nice font. Boy, I like that font, man. Not really the font I am mad about. It's more the font shadow. Um, Maybe a little heavy. Um, I might try angling a little more and toning down the opacity just a touch. Um, I think this, like I guess the density you have or the spread, or if you want to call it the amount of blur that's there, is good. Um, might just want to tone it down a bit on the opacity though, because otherwise it looks pretty good. Um, Personal opinion, but. Yeah, I wish there was a way to like, because Chrome has the screen emulation where you can like kind of look at it how it would look on a cell phone or whatever, like the same pixel density, but they don't have any way of like, I guess you could like artificially modify your contrast, but the only thing I can think of is just kind of looking at it on the screens. I use that to make sure my reactivity was working on my portfolio that I'm building. Still not fucking done. Well, that I don't know. Yeah. You know, like uh, your graphic driver software will have contrast ratio stuff that you can modify, and that would look. It's always like the bigger picture kind of shit that I have issues with when I like build websites, because it's like, oh well, this looks decent, but then I like, oh, that's just kind of like your ability to step back and kind of look at the overall structure of the website usually is where uh, my skills fade, because I did have a domain service up for a little while, but I ran out of cash, so I had to get rid of it. It lasts for a little bit though. But, like, you see that, you're like, oh, that's not very big, and then it just kind of like fucking, oh wow, that's huge. Never mind. What we'll do is we'll just probably run a darker, soft round. Oh shit. Over the top of his head here, kind of blend it out a bit, and oh shit, that's too much. Leave that up there the way it is. Do this. Oops, shit, wrong thing. Try this. A little bit of subtlety. I think that'll work a little better. And then erase where we don't want it. And work with it a bit, because all we really need to do is just kind of darken some areas in the hair up there, because it's super fucking awkward. Get dark where I don't want it to be dark, and light where I don't want it to be light. Oh shit, it's this song. I've heard this song a million fucking times already. Playing like all the stuff that I don't really care for. I like this song. Usually go with screen is not the color for the blending options. It's usually like overlay or soft light. Problem with that though is still not doing what I want it to do. I was gonna work with a vivid light. I use it. Why is that like that? Did I lower the opacity or something? Oh, I know why it's like that. Because I have a softened shading layer essentially there that's kind of lowering that darkness. So it isn't as strong. Rounding out that whole area there. The rest of this is pretty much done though, I mean. Not much left to do. I might throw a gradient overlay on it to kind of affect the overall color scheme though, because the image I'm using is a sepia, a slight sepia. Work. Touch it up a bit. Because this area in here seems super light. the one who taught myself how to make this brush. I never really looked into any other tutorials on how to make smudge brushes, so. Well, that's so much better when I did that. Kind of bring this kind of brings this to the foreground of it. This is slightly darker than that area there. Brings his face to the foreground quite. Say I'm done, it always ends up being like, oh, it's fucking, work on it a little more. Work on it a little more. Work on it a little more. But that'll be it for me tonight. I do appreciate those of you who stopped by and followed the stream, chatted for a bit. I'll hop off. Maybe I'll be on Tuesday. Maybe I won't be. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, thanks so much, guys, for stopping by.